I'm staring at a pink floral suitcase that definitely isn't mine when my phone buzzes with the worst news possible. Missing hiker in Chandler. 24 hours gone, clock's ticking. Excuse me, that's my bag. I turn to find a petite blonde with dirt under her fingernails and the kind of blue eyes that could stop traffic. She's got my black tactical case in her delicate hands like she's afraid it might explode. Laura Perry. I hand over her girly luggage, search and rescue. Melanie Brown. And before you ask, yes, I know my suitcase looks like a cupcake. The departure board flashes red. All flights to Phoenix canceled. Weather delay. Of course. Where exactly in Arizona were you headed? I ask, calculating backup routes in my head. Some godforsaken desert spot near Chandler. Rare cactus preservation project. She wrinkles her nose. You? My blood chills. Same location. The missing hiker was last seen near the Sonoran Preserve where she'll be working. Rental car. We split the cost and drive through the night. She sizes me up like I'm a questionable plant specimen. I don't know you. 8 hours from now, Sarah Mitchell dies if I don't find her. Your choice. 2 hours later, we're cruising through empty desert highway. Melanie's changed into worn jeans and a tank top that shows off surprisingly toned arms. Her blonde hair catches the setting sun through the windshield. So what's a nice gardener doing in rattlesnake country? I ask. Someone's got to protect the desert from people like you. She adjusts the AC vent. No offense, but your search teams usually tear through habitats like bulldozers. We save lives. By destroying everything else. I grip the steering wheel tighter. This is exactly why I work alone. Civilians don't understand that time matters more than precious flowers when someone's dying. Tell me about this Sarah Mitchell, Melanie says quietly. Something in her tone makes my chest tight. College student. Day hike turned wrong. Probably dehydrated, maybe injured. You know her personally. It's not a question. Melanie's watching my face in the dashboard light. We have history. I keep my eyes on the road. Bad history. The GPS announces our exit. Chandler city limits. I never thought I'd come back here. Especially not to save the woman who nearly destroyed me 3 years ago. Melanie reaches over and briefly touches my wrist. Her fingers are warm, calloused from garden work. Whatever happened between you two, she's still someone's daughter. I want to tell her she's wrong. That Sarah Mitchell is poison wrapped in pretty packaging. That saving her might be the stupidest thing I've ever done. Instead, I pull into the motel parking lot and kill the engine. We start at dawn, I say. Stay close to me out there. The desert doesn't forgive mistakes. Melanie unbuckles her seatbelt but doesn't move to get out. In the sudden quiet, I can hear both our hearts beating too fast. Laura. Her voice is barely a whisper. What aren't you telling me about this, Sarah? The question hangs between us like a loaded gun. Outside, coyotes howl in the distance. 22 hours left to find her. 22 hours to face the biggest mistake of my life. I look at Melanie's earnest face, her concerned blue eyes, and realize I'm about to drag this innocent woman straight into my personal hell. Get some sleep, I say. Tomorrow's going to be complicated. Dawn breaks over the Sonoran Preserve like a blood orange split open across the sky. I'm setting up base camp when Melanie appears, studying my equipment layout with obvious disapproval. You can't just bulldoze through here, she says, pointing at rare barrel cacti I've marked for potential equipment placement. These specimens are over 50 years old. And Sarah's been missing 20 hours. I snap open my tactical case, checking GPS units and emergency supplies. Your plants will survive a few boot prints. It's not just plants. You're disrupting an entire ecosystem. She kneels beside a cluster of desert marigolds, her fingers gentle on the delicate petals. Every step matters out here. I watch her hands move with practiced care over the flowers. There's something almost reverent in the way she touches them, like she's greeting old friends. Look, garden girl, I appreciate the nature lesson, but we're burning daylight. Melanie stands, dirt streaking her palms. Garden girl? Would you prefer flower child? Her blue eyes flash dangerously. Try botanist with a master's degree in desert ecology, and maybe someone who actually cares about preserving what's left of this place. Preserving? While a woman dies of exposure? Assuming she's still alive. The words hit like a slap. I step closer, close enough to smell the faint scent of jasmine in her hair despite our desert surroundings. She's alive because I'm going to find her. Even if you have to destroy half the preserve doing it, if that's what it takes. We stare each other down, 2 feet apart in the growing heat. Melanie's jaw is set stubborn, but something flickers in her expression, curiosity maybe, or challenge. What kind of history do you have with this Sarah that makes you so desperate? Before I can deflect, my radio crackles. Weather service, flash flood warning. The storm system that grounded our flights is heading this way. 20 minutes later, the first fat raindrops splatter on the red dirt. Melanie looks up at the darkening sky with genuine alarm. Shelter. Now. She grabs my arm. Desert flash floods kill faster than exposure. I'm about to argue when thunder crashes overhead. She's right. I've seen what happens when arroyos turn into raging rivers in minutes. We scramble toward a rocky overhang as the sky opens up. Rain pounds the desert like artillery, turning dust to mud in seconds. I radio base camp to report our position, but static is all I get back. Melanie presses against the rock wall beside me, her shoulder touching mine. We're both soaked through, her tank top clinging to curves I definitely shouldn't be noticing right now. How long? I ask. Could be hours. Desert storms are unpredictable. She wrings water from her blonde hair. Tell me about Sarah. No. We might die in this overhang together. Seems like a good time for honesty. Thunder shakes the ground beneath us. Through the rain, I can see the dry creek bed below starting to fill with rushing brown water. She was my partner, professional and personal. My voice sounds hollow against the storm noise. 3 years ago. What happened? I close my eyes, remembering Sarah's laugh, her lies, the way she nearly cost me everything I'd worked for. She happened. Melanie shifts closer, her warmth cutting through the desert chill. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. But sitting here, trapped with this stubborn botanist who smells like jasmine and argues like she's got nothing to lose, I feel something crack open in my chest. Something I've kept sealed tight since Sarah walked out. The rain starts to ease. Soon we'll have to head back out into the desert, back to the search, back to facing whatever's left of my past with Sarah Mitchell. Melanie's watching me with those blue eyes that see too much. Whatever she did to you, she says quietly, it doesn't define who you are now. For a moment, I want to believe her. The storm passes, leaving the desert transformed. Everything smells like wet earth and possibility. Melanie's studying broken vegetation patterns near the arroyo when she freezes. Laura, come here. She's crouched beside a crushed cluster of brittle bush, her face intense with concentration. What am I looking at? Someone came through here recently. See how the stems are bent, not broken? Fresh damage from the storm would snap them clean. Her fingers trace the disturbed ground. Your Sarah knows plants. She followed the water source. I feel my first real hope in 36 hours. You can track her? Better than your GPS can. She stands, brushing dirt from her knees. Desert plants tell stories if you know how to listen. We move deeper into the preserve, Melanie reading signs I never would have noticed. Disturbed pebbles, compressed soil around a barrel cactus, the faint outline of a boot print in dried mud. She's sheltered here during the worst of it, Melanie says, pointing to a natural alcove. Smart girl. Something twists in my chest at the admiration in her voice. Sarah's always been clever. But not clever enough to stay found? That's complicated. Melanie stops walking. We're completely alone now, miles from base camp. The afternoon sun beats down mercilessly, but she doesn't even seem winded. Everything's complicated with you, isn't it? Some things shouldn't be simple. She steps closer, studying my face like she's reading another kind of sign. What did she do that hurt you so badly? I want to deflect again, but something about the way Melanie's looking at me makes truth feel possible. Maybe it's the isolation, or the way she's been trusting me completely in dangerous terrain. She betrayed my team, got people injured because she leaked our location to the media for attention. The words taste bitter, nearly cost me my certification. Melanie's expression softens. And you loved her anyway. I thought I did. Past tense? Before I can answer, my radio crackles with static. Partial transmission from base camp. Sarah's been spotted near the old mining trail, but the signal cuts out before I get coordinates. We push forward as shadows lengthen. Melanie's navigation through increasingly rough terrain is flawless, but I notice her favoring her left ankle. You're hurt. Twisted it earlier. I'm fine. She's not fine. I can see her limping now, trying to hide it. We need to rest. Sarah needs us to keep moving. Sarah needs me to get you out of here alive too. I guide Melanie to a flat rock formation as the sun disappears behind distant mountains. The temperature's already dropping fast. In 20 minutes it'll be dangerously cold. Emergency protocol, I say, pulling a thermal blanket from my pack. We share body heat. Melanie raises an eyebrow. Is this standard rescue procedure? Do you want to freeze to death? She settles beside me under the foil blanket, her body warm against mine. Stars emerge overhead like scattered diamonds. In the sudden quiet, I can hear her breathing, slow and steady. Tell me something real about yourself, she says softly. Like what? Why do you do this job? Really? I stare up at the Milky Way, thinking about all the people I've saved, all the families I've reunited. Because everyone deserves to come home. Even Sarah? Even Sarah. Melanie turns to face me, her blonde hair silver in the starlight. We're so close I can see the flecks of gray in her blue eyes. What about you? Do you ever get to come home? The question catches me off guard. Home. I can't remember the last time anywhere felt like home. I'm always moving. Next rescue, next crisis. That sounds lonely. It's simpler. There's that word again. Her voice is just a whisper now. Simple. I realize we've both stopped talking about Sarah. Stopped thinking about anything except this moment. Melanie's face is inches from mine, her lips slightly parted. Laura. Yeah? When we find her, what happens to us? The question hangs in the thin desert air like a prayer. I should tell her nothing happens. That I'll disappear back to my solitary life of dangerous rescues and empty hotel rooms. Instead, I brush a strand of hair away from her face. I don't know. She leans forward, closing the distance between us. Her lips are soft and warm, tasting faintly of the mint gum she's been chewing. The kiss is gentle, tentative, like she's asking permission. I kiss her back, harder, my hand tangling in her hair. For 30 seconds, the desert disappears. There's no missing ex-girlfriend, no complicated past, no uncertain future. Just Melanie's mouth on mine and the wild possibility that maybe, just maybe, simple isn't always better. We break apart, both breathing hard. That wasn't supposed to happen, I whisper. No, she agrees, her forehead resting against mine. It definitely wasn't. But neither of us moves away. Dawn brings the sound of helicopters. Sarah's been found, dehydrated but alive. Exactly where Melanie predicted she'd follow the water source. The rescue team airlifts her to Chandler General, while we hike back to base camp in triumphant silence. I should feel satisfied. Mission accomplished. Another life saved. Instead, all I can think about is the way Melanie's lips tasted under the desert stars. Room for 2 at the Hampton Inn, I say as we reach our rental car. Separate beds. Of course. Separate. But there's heat in her voice that makes my pulse quicken. The hotel lobby is generic corporate beige and fake plants. Melanie wrinkles her nose at the plastic ferns while I check us in. We're both filthy, exhausted, running on adrenaline and something else I don't want to name. Shower first, she says when we reach the room, then food. I nod, trying not to watch her disappear into the bathroom, trying not to think about hot water streaming over her sun-kissed skin. My phone rings. Hospital. Sarah's asking for me. I have to go see her, I tell Melanie when she emerges 20 minutes later, hair damp and wearing a clean tank top that hugs her curves. Want company? Better if I go alone. This conversation's been 3 years in the making. Sarah looks small in the hospital bed. IV drip in her arm, that familiar manipulative smile playing at her lips when she sees me. My hero, she says. Always there to save me. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck, but grateful. She reaches for my hand. Laura, we need to talk. About us. I pull back. There is no us. There could be again. I've changed. Sarah. I know I messed up before, but being lost out there, thinking I might die, it made me realize what matters. Her green eyes fill with practiced tears. You matter. 3 years ago, this speech would have worked. I would have believed her, forgiven her, let her back into my life and my bed. Now, all I can think about is blue eyes and gentle hands, and the way Melanie kissed me like I was something precious. I'm glad you're safe, I say carefully. But we're done. We were done 3 years ago. Because of her? That little botanist you brought along? My blood chills. How do you... The nurses are chatty. Laura Perry and her girlfriend rescued poor Sarah Mitchell. She watches my face closely. Interesting development. There's something predatory in her smile that reminds me exactly why I ran from Chandler in the first place. Melanie and I are colleagues. Sure you are. Sarah settles back against her pillows, just like we were colleagues. I leave without another word, my hands shaking as I wait for the elevator. Sarah always knew exactly how to get under my skin, how to make me doubt everything I thought I knew about myself. Back at the hotel, Melanie's ordered room service. Thai food spreads across the small table, filling the air with the scent of lemongrass and coconut. How did it go? About like I expected. She studies my face while we eat. Want to talk about it? Not really. Want to talk about last night? I meet her eyes across the table. Do you? I've been thinking about it all day. And? She stands, moving around the table until she's close enough to touch. And I think we should stop pretending it didn't mean anything. My heart hammers against my ribs. Melanie. Tell me you didn't feel it too. I can't. Because I did feel it. More than I've felt anything in years. The connection, the heat, the terrifying possibility of letting someone matter again. She cups my face in her hands, thumbs tracing my cheekbones. I'm not her, she whispers. I'm not going to hurt you. You don't know that. I know I want to try. She kisses me then, soft and questioning. I taste mint and possibility on her lips, feel the careful way she touches me like I might break. When we break apart, we're both breathing hard. Your room or mine? She asks with a shaky laugh. We're sharing a room. Your bed or mine? Heat pools low in my belly. I take her hand, leading her to the bed closest to the window where moonlight streams across white sheets. What happens next feels like coming home and falling off a cliff at the same time. Melanie's hands are gentle but sure as we undress each other slowly in the silver light. Her skin is soft and warm, scattered with freckles I want to map with my tongue. When she arches beneath my touch, whispering my name like a prayer, I feel something inside me crack wide open. We move together with desperate tenderness, taking and giving until the boundaries between us dissolve completely. Afterward, she curls against my side, her blonde hair spilling across my chest as we both struggle to catch our breath. That definitely wasn't supposed to happen, I murmur against her hair. Worth it, though. I tighten my arms around her, already knowing this changes everything, already terrified of how much I want it to. Outside, Chandler sleeps peacefully while I lie awake, memorizing the weight of Melanie in my arms and trying not to think about what happens when morning comes. Morning brings awkward coffee and careful space between our beds. Melanie's packing her botanical samples while I pretend to organize gear I already organized twice. Neither of us mentions how her fingers traced patterns on my skin at 3 a.m., or how I whispered her name when she made me forget everything else existed. Flight's at noon, she says without looking at me. Mine's at 2. We're both running. From what happened, from what it might mean, from the impossible arithmetic of 2 separate lives that accidentally collided in a desert rescue. My phone buzzes. Text message from an unknown number. We need to meet. Urgent. The coffee shop on Main Street. 1 hour. Don't tell anyone. Sarah. Melanie notices my expression change. Everything okay? Sarah wants to see me again. Laura. Her voice is careful, controlled. Maybe it's better if you don't. I need closure. But even as I say it, I know that's not why I'm going. There's something in Sarah's message, an edge of desperation that triggers every rescue instinct I have. even after everything she did to me. The coffee shop is nearly empty. Sarah sits in a corner booth, sunglasses hiding her eyes despite being indoors. When she sees me, she pulls them off, revealing a face that looks genuinely terrified. Thank God you came. What's this about, Sarah? She slides an envelope across the table. Official letterhead from Chandler General Hospital. My hands shake as I read the recipient name on the kidney donor notification form. 5 years ago, she says quietly. Anonymous donation. They're only allowed to tell me now because you're local again. The words swim in front of my eyes. Sarah Mitchell, kidney transplant recipient, my kidney. The one I donated anonymously after my brother died in a car accident when I needed to save someone, anyone, to make sense of the senseless. You saved my life, she continues. Before you even knew me. Before we met at that training exercise in Phoenix. My coffee turns to acid in my mouth. You've known this whole time? I found out last year. Had my lawyer dig into the records. She leans forward, her green eyes bright with something that looks like madness. Don't you see? We're connected. Literally. Part of you is keeping me alive. Sarah. That's why I came to the desert. Why I made sure you'd be the one to find me. We belong together, Laura. The universe is telling us. Horror creeps up my spine as I realize the truth. You got lost on purpose. I knew you'd save me. You always save people. It's who you are. You could have died. But I didn't. Because you came for me. Just like you always do. I stand so fast the table shakes, spilling coffee across Sarah's carefully prepared paperwork. You're insane. I'm in love. And I know you still love me too, no matter what you tell yourself. Her voice rises, drawing stares from other customers. That little gardener can't give you what I can. She doesn't understand what we've been through together. We're done. Permanently. No. Sarah's smile turns sharp, predatory. We're just getting started. I have photos, Laura, from yesterday at the hotel. Your rescue organization wouldn't approve of fraternizing with civilians during active missions. The threat hits like a physical blow. My career, my reputation, everything I've worked to rebuild since Sarah nearly destroyed it 3 years ago. You're blackmailing me? I'm protecting us from making another mistake. I walk away without another word, but I can feel her watching me leave. Can feel the trap closing around whatever fragile thing Melanie and I started building in the desert. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely dial Melanie's number. Laura? You sound upset. Are you still at the hotel? Packing up. What happened with Sarah? I close my eyes, standing in the middle of Main Street while Chandler traffic flows around me like I'm a ghost. I need to see you. Now. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting on her hotel bed, staring at the kidney donor paperwork while Melanie processes what I've told her. So she's been manipulating you from the beginning, she says finally. Longer than that. Since before we even met. Melanie reaches for my hand, her fingers warm and steady. The donation was anonymous. How could she have planned that? She couldn't. But she found out later and used it. Laura. Look at me. I meet her blue eyes, seeing concern and something else. Something that might be love if I let myself believe in impossible things. What you did, donating your kidney, that was beautiful and selfless. Don't let her twist it into something ugly. She has photos of us. She'll destroy my career. Then we make sure she can't. The certainty in Melanie's voice surprises me. This morning she was ready to run back to her separate life. Now she's talking about fighting together. This isn't your problem. It became my problem the moment I kissed you. She squeezes my hand. Besides, I told you I wasn't going to hurt you. I meant it. For the first time since reading that donor form, I can breathe again. What do we do? Melanie's smile is fierce and determined. We save each other. Melanie changes her flight. Within an hour, she's moved into my temporary apartment across town, her suitcases scattered between my tactical gear like she belongs there. Tell me about these photos, she says, spreading Sarah's blackmail evidence across my kitchen table. The images make my stomach clench. Us kissing by the hotel window, Melanie in my arms, both of us clearly intimate, clearly unprofessional. Sarah must have been watching, waiting for exactly this kind of ammunition. She's thorough, Melanie observes. But sloppy. How so? Look at the metadata. She points to the timestamp on her phone. These were taken after your official rescue report was filed, after Sarah was found and transported. You were off duty. Hope flickers in my chest. That matters? It means your rescue organization can't claim professional misconduct. You weren't technically working when we... She trails off, color rising in her cheeks. When we what? When we complicated everything. Her phone rings, unknown number. She answers without hesitation. Melanie Brown. I can hear Sarah's voice through the speaker, smooth and venomous. We should talk. Woman to woman. I don't think that's necessary. Oh, but it is. Especially if you care about Laura's career. Coffee shop on Main Street, 1 hour. The line goes dead. Melanie stares at her phone with an expression I've never seen before. Cold determination mixed with something almost feral. You're not going, I say immediately. Yes, I am. Sarah's dangerous when she's cornered. So am I. An hour later, I'm parked across from the coffee shop, watching through binoculars as Melanie walks in wearing jeans and a green blouse that matches her eyes when she's angry. She looks calm, confident, like she's heading into a garden center instead of a trap. Sarah's already there, same corner booth, same predatory smile, but when Melanie slides into the opposite seat, something shifts in Sarah's expression. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. I can't hear their conversation, but I can read body language. Sarah gestures aggressively. Melanie leans back, arms crossed, completely unmoved. Whatever threats Sarah's making, they're bouncing off like rain on granite. Then Melanie leans forward, speaking quietly. Sarah's face goes white. She shakes her head frantically, but Melanie continues talking, her expression never changing from polite interest. Sarah stands abruptly, knocking over her coffee cup. Other customers stare as she storms out, nearly running to her car. Melanie emerges 5 minutes later, walking calmly to where I'm parked. She gets in without a word. What did you say to her? The truth. Which truth? Melanie turns to face me, her blue eyes bright with satisfaction. That I'm not afraid of her photos. That my career in environmental consulting actually benefits from clients knowing I'm gay. Progressive values and all that. And that if she releases those pictures, I'll make sure everyone knows how she manipulated an anonymous organ donation for personal gain, including the Hospital Ethics Board and the State Medical Licensing Committee. I stare at her. You threatened her? I educated her about consequences. Melanie. What? She thought she was dealing with some sheltered flower girl who'd fold under pressure. Her smile turned sharp. She was wrong. My phone buzzes. Text from Sarah, this isn't over. Melanie reads it over my shoulder. Yes, it is. She takes my phone, typing a response. Any further contact will be considered harassment. All evidence has been documented and shared with appropriate authorities. Did you actually document everything? Of course. I photograph plant specimens for a living, Laura. I know how to build a case. Something warm and fierce blooms in my chest. This woman, this incredible, protective, sharp-edged woman, chose to fight for me instead of running. You could have just walked away, I say quietly. I could have, but then I'd never know what this becomes. She gestures between us, what we become. And you want to find out? More than I've wanted anything in years. I reach for her across the car seats, tangling my fingers in her blonde hair and pulling her close. This kiss is different from the desert, different from the hotel. This is claiming, promising, choosing each other despite every reason not to. When we break apart, we're both breathing hard. So what happens now? She asks. Now we go home. Who's home? I realize I don't care. Mine, hers, somewhere new we build together. For the first time in 3 years, home isn't a place. It's the woman sitting beside me. Laptop bag full of Sarah's deleted threats and evidence of her own strategic brilliance. Surprise me, I tell her. Melanie laughs, the sound bright and free in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windshield. I love surprises. As we drive away from Chandler, Sarah's blackmail attempt crumbling in our wake, I catch myself smiling. Real smiling. not the professional expression I wear during rescues. Maybe Melanie was right. Maybe simple isn't always better. Maybe complicated, when it comes with the right person, is exactly what I've been looking for. 2 weeks of peace. That's all we get before Sarah's final card reveals itself. I'm teaching Melanie basic rock climbing at Red Rock Canyon when my phone explodes with notifications, news alerts, missed calls from my supervisor, text messages from colleagues I haven't talked to in months. Local hero's dark secret, search and rescue leader's stalker history exposed. The article is brutal and thorough. Sarah's version of our relationship, painting me as an obsessive ex-girlfriend who manipulated search protocols to get close to her. Photos of us together 3 years ago, taken out of context, medical records that shouldn't exist, suggesting I used my donor status to emotionally manipulate her. It's all lies, Melanie says, reading over my shoulder. Doesn't matter. The damage is done. My supervisor calls while we're driving back to town. Mandatory leave pending investigation. My rescue certification suspended until further review. 24 hours ago, I was Laura Perry, search and rescue specialist. Now I'm Laura Perry, potential stalker and professional liability. She's destroying me piece by piece, I tell Melanie as we sit in her apartment, surrounded by boxes of my hastily relocated belongings. Then we destroy her first. I can't. She has my kidney, Melanie, literally. If something happens to her because of me, nothing's happening to her. She's fine, healthy, and using your guilt as a weapon. I know she's right, but knowing doesn't stop the sick feeling in my stomach every time I think about Sarah connected to me in the most intimate way possible. Maybe she wins. Maybe I should just disappear, start over somewhere else. Melanie goes very still beside me on the couch. Is that what you want? I want to stop hurting people I care about. Meaning me? I can't look at her. This mess follows me everywhere. My career's over. Sarah won't stop until she's stripped away everything that matters to me. Everything? Her voice is quiet, careful. When I finally meet her eyes, I see the hurt I've caused with my thoughtless words. I didn't mean... You did mean it. She stands, moving toward the window where her plants catch the afternoon light. You're doing exactly what she wants, pushing away anyone who might fight for you. I'm protecting you. I don't need protection. I need you to stop being a coward. The word hits like a physical blow. Excuse me? You heard me. All this noble self-sacrifice is just fear dressed up as heroism. She turns to face me, blue eyes blazing. Sarah figured out your weakness. You'd rather run than risk being hurt again. That's not... Isn't it? The moment things get complicated, you start planning your exit strategy. She's right. And I hate her for being right. I hate that she can see through every defense I've built, every wall I've constructed since Sarah first walked out 3 years ago. What do you want from me, Melanie? I want you to fight. For your career, for your reputation, for us. There might not be an us to fight for. The words hang between us like broken glass. Melanie's face goes completely blank, that careful mask she wore when we first met sliding back into place. Well, she says quietly, at least you're being honest now. She walks toward her bedroom, and panic floods my system. This is it. This is how I lose the best thing that's happened to me in years, because I'm too damaged and too scared to believe it could last. Melanie, wait. She stops in the doorway but doesn't turn around. I'm terrified, I admit to her back. Of her, of this, of screwing up something that matters. Everyone's terrified, Laura. That's what makes it brave. She disappears into the bedroom, closing the door with a soft click that sounds like finality. I sit alone in her living room, surrounded by plants that seem to judge my cowardice and realize I've just made the biggest mistake of my life. My phone buzzes. Text from Sarah, saw the news, told you we belong together. Come home, Laura. I'm the only one who truly understands you. I stare at the message, feeling the trap close around me one final time. Sarah's right. She does understand me. She understands exactly how to manipulate my fears, my guilt, my desperate need to save everyone except myself. But Melanie understands something else. She understands that I'm worth saving too. I delete Sarah's message without responding and walk to Melanie's bedroom door. I don't knock. I just press my palm against the wood and speak to the silence beyond. I'm sorry. I'm scared, and I'm sorry, and I don't know how to do this without messing it up. Silence. But I want to try. If you'll let me try. The door opens. Melanie's eyes are red, but her voice is steady. Trying means staying. Even when it's hard. Even when it's complicated. Especially then. I reach for her face, thumbs brushing away tears I caused. I love you, I whisper, the words feeling both terrifying and inevitable. I love you too. She leans into my touch. But love isn't enough if you keep running. I'm done running. Promise? I kiss her instead of answering, pouring every apology and promise I can't voice into the connection between us. She kisses back desperately, like she's trying to anchor me to this moment, this choice, this fragile thing we're building together. When we break apart, her forehead rests against mine. Now what? She whispers. Now we fight back. 3 months later, I'm working part-time at a wilderness survival school outside Phoenix while my lawyer fights to clear my name. It's honest work, teaching college kids how to read desert signs and build emergency shelters. But it's not saving lives. It's not who I am. Melanie's transformed the survival school's compound with desert gardens that somehow make the harsh landscape feel like home. She drives down from Chandler every weekend, her truck loaded with native plants and tools, determined to prove that damaged ground can bloom again with the right care. Laura. She appears at my office door, dirt streaking her tank top. Emergency call came in, missing hiker near Phoenix Mountain Preserve. My chest tightens. ER calls still come in occasionally, forwarded when the official teams are overloaded. But I can't respond officially, can't use my certification or access proper resources. They need someone now, she continues. 16-year-old girl, been missing since yesterday. I grab my gear without hesitation. Some things matter more than career politics. You know, this could make everything worse, or it could remind everyone who you really are. The preserve is chaos when we arrive. Parents crying, volunteers searching in circles, local authorities clearly overwhelmed. The missing girl, Katie Morrison, has type 1 diabetes. Without her insulin, she has maybe 6 hours left. Melanie studies the terrain maps while I coordinate with the volunteer teams. Here, she says, pointing to a cluster of natural springs. If she's conscious and thinking clearly, she'd follow water. That's 3 miles of rough canyon terrain. She's 16 and scared. But she's also a Girl Scout. They teach basic survival. We hike in with a small team, Melanie reading tracks and disturbances that everyone else missed. Her botanical knowledge guides us through areas where official search patterns would fail. 2 hours in, we find Katie's jacket tied to a mesquite tree. A trail marker, just like we'd taught in survival courses. Smart girl, Melanie murmurs. She's leaving us breadcrumbs. The trail leads deeper into the canyon, marked with small pieces of fabric and careful rock arrangements. Katie's using every trick in the Wilderness Survival Handbook. We find her at the 3rd spring, conscious but weak, rationing her emergency glucose tablets like they're gold. Katie? I'm Laura. We're here to get you home. I knew someone would come, she whispers. I just had to stay smart until you did. Getting her out takes 4 hours of careful rope work and medical monitoring. By the time we reach the trailhead, news crews are waiting. Katie's parents are there, crying and thanking everyone they can reach. You saved our daughter, Katie's mother sobs, gripping my hands. I don't care what anyone says about you. You're a hero. The reporter approaches with her camera crew. Laura Perry, you're not officially certified to conduct search operations. Why were you here today? Because a child needed help. Are you concerned about legal ramifications? I look at Melanie, who's standing just outside the camera frame, smiling at me with pride and something that might be understanding. Some things are more important than regulations. The story goes viral within hours. Suspended rescuer saves diabetic teen. Local hero defies ban to save life. The search for truth about Laura Perry. My phone starts ringing. Colleagues I haven't heard from in months. Reporters wanting interviews. And finally the call I've been waiting for. Perry. My supervisor's voice is careful but not hostile. We need to talk. The investigation hearing happens 2 weeks later. Character witnesses, sworn statements, medical experts, analyzing the kidney donation ethics. Sarah's lies unravel under scrutiny, but the damage to my reputation lingers like smoke. Certification reinstated with conditions, the board announces. 6-month supervised operations followed by full review. It's not vindication, but it's a beginning. Melanie's waiting outside the hearing room, and when I see her face, everything else disappears. How did it go? I get to try again. We get to try again. She kisses me right there in the courthouse hallway, with reporters and lawyers and my entire professional future watching. It's claiming and fierce and public in a way that terrifies me. Are you sure about this? I whisper against her lips. About us? Never been more sure of anything. That night, back at her apartment in Chandler, we celebrate with wine and takeout and the kind of slow, deliberate lovemaking that feels like a promise. Melanie maps every scar on my body with her lips, tells me stories about resilience using botanical metaphors that make me believe healing is possible. When she arches beneath my touch, whispering my name like a prayer answered, I understand that some things can grow from the hardest ground. We move together with desperate tenderness, taking and giving until the boundaries between us dissolve completely. Afterward, she curls against my side, her blonde hair spilling across my chest as we both struggle to catch our breath. What happens now? She asks, her fingers tracing patterns on my skin. Now we build something new. Together? Together. 3 days later, I get my first official rescue call in 4 months. Missing child near Sedona. High-risk terrain, time-sensitive extraction. Want backup? Melanie asks, already reaching for her hiking boots. Thought you had a consulting job in Tucson. I do. But some things are more important than schedules. I kiss her hard, tasting adventure and partnership, and the wild possibility of a future where we save people together. Let's go to work. 6 months pass like desert seasons, harsh transitions softening into something sustainable. My certification review comes back clean, all conditions lifted. Search and rescue operations resume full-time, but now they include a botanical consultant who reads landscapes like scripture and makes base camps bloom with native flowers. Melanie's business thrives beyond Phoenix, designing memorial gardens for families who've lost loved ones to the wilderness. She calls it healing through growth, and watching her work, I understand why broken ground becomes beautiful under her hands. The Morrison family wants to fund a memorial garden, she tells me over breakfast, spreading landscape sketches across my kitchen table. For Katie and all the other kids who've been lost and found in these mountains. At the survival school? Here in Chandler, at the new search and rescue training facility. I look up from my coffee. What new facility? Her smile is pure mischief. The one we're opening next month. Surprise. The plans are extensive, detailed, clearly months in the making. Training grounds that incorporate desert ecology education, classrooms designed around sustainable practices, gardens that serve as both memorial space and practical learning environments. Melanie, this is incredible. But the funding alone. Katie's parents are major donors, so are 3 other families from successful rescues. She leans across the table. They want you to run it, Laura. Full autonomy, your own team, integration of environmental conservation with rescue operations. My throat tightens. You did this. We did this. Together. That afternoon, we drive to the site, 10 acres of raw desert land between Chandler and Phoenix, close enough to respond quickly but far enough to build something entirely our own. Melanie walks me through her vision. Training areas that preserve existing ecosystem. Water features that demonstrate both survival techniques and natural conservation. Housing for visiting teams and emergency operations. The memorial section goes here, she says, pointing to a natural amphitheater formed by red rock formations. Names of everyone who was lost, but also everyone who was saved, the whole story. Including Sarah? Melanie's expression grows thoughtful. Sarah was saved too, in her own way, even if she never acknowledged it. We haven't heard from Sarah since the courthouse incident. Part of me wonders if she's finally found peace, or if she's just moved on to manipulating someone else's guilt. Either way, she's no longer my responsibility. What about us? I ask. Where do we fit in all this? Wherever you want us to fit. The question hangs between us like an invitation. For 6 months, We've been building something together without naming what it is. Partnership, love. A shared vision of making dangerous places safer for everyone who enters them. I want to marry you, I say suddenly, surprising myself with the certainty. Melanie stops walking. Laura. Not the dress and church thing, something else, something that fits us. Like what? I look around at the desert landscape that brought us together, imagining it transformed by her vision into something that honors both wilderness and the people who risk everything to explore it. Like this place, when it's ready, when we're ready. Her smile starts slow and builds to something radiant. Are you proposing to me in the middle of a construction site? I'm proposing we build something permanent together, here, wherever, something that lasts. She tackles me then, laughing and kissing me with dirt-streaked hands and sunshine in her hair. We tumble to the ground between Palo Verde trees and beryl cacti, holding each other in the space that will become our joint legacy. Yes, she whispers against my lips. Yes to everything. 1 year later, the Laura Perry Search and Rescue Training Institute officially opens. The memorial garden blooms with desert marigolds and ghost flowers, names etched in sandstone that weathers like memory into something both permanent and gentle. Our commitment ceremony happens at sunset. Surrounded by rescue teams from across the Southwest, families we've reunited, and students from our first wilderness course. No wedding dress, just hiking boots and matching silver bands inscribed with coordinates of the place we first kissed. You may now kiss your wife, the justice of the peace says. And when Melanie's lips meet mine, I taste jasmine and possibility and the wild promise of tomorrow's rescues. Katie Morrison, now 18 and studying emergency medicine, catches the bouquet of desert blooms, the same hands that left trail markers for us to follow now learning to save others. What's next? Melanie asks as we dance under stars that witnessed our first desperate kiss. More rescues, more gardens, more of this. This? Us. Saving people together. Making dangerous places beautiful. She spins in my arms, laughing. I love dangerous, beautiful places. Even when they're complicated. Especially when they're complicated. The desert wind carries the scent of rain across red rocks and memorial flowers. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote calls to its mate, and both voices rise together in a harmony that sounds like homecoming. I hold my wife closer, knowing that tomorrow will bring new emergencies, new people to save, new chances to prove that even the hardest ground can bloom with the right care and enough time. Some rescues take years, some take a lifetime. This one is just beginning.